Good morning. It's nice to see everybody's bright and shining face today. My name is Ann Packham, and I'm going to help lead the service today. Welcome to the University Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. We are gathered here today in person, but also online, so if you want to say hi to our friends online, nice to have you here. I do like to remind folks that we are approaching cold and flu season. And it is complicated by the fact that we have a new strain of COVID. So if you are not feeling well, please do not come here. Please stay home and watch us in the virtual world, either on YouTube or on Zoom. So just a reminder for that today. And please take a moment to silence any electronic devices that may distract you throughout the service so we can settle into our space here. Before we go too much further in our service, we'd like to give our committee chairs an opportunity to tell us what's going on in the life of the church. So if you'll make a brief announcement here, you'll notice most of the details of our events are in our notable news. So if you haven't been checking your email lately, please do that so you can stay up to date on all the fun things that are happening here.
Good morning, David McElroy. Tomorrow, September 11th, which is day that shall live in infamy, is the men's support group. It meets here in here at 6:30. If you've not been and would like some information about it, come and talk to me. Otherwise, it's a potluck, or you can bring your own. Okay? Thank you. 6:30.
John Mowbray on behalf of Facilities and Grounds. Derek wanted me to do the announcement today. Next week is work day, and I think it's a family fun day, and there's a lot of fun to be had. So please show up and help out from about 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock next Saturday. Pie. They're having pie. What kind?
I don't know, Derek. I think it's making a cherry. There will be pies.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know
All
the
right.
details, but there will be pies.
Maybe some ice cream?
James knows the details of the pies.
It's got to be a la mode, so somebody bring some ice cream. All right, thanks.
I will start with the pie information. We are having it. Derek is bringing cherry, and then we should be bringing pumpkin and apple. And if anyone else wants to bring some other pies, feel free, because you can't have too much pie. If there happens to already be ice cream in the freezer in there. I am James McDevitt Phelps with RE, and I wanted to go ahead and let you guys know that we still have volunteering slots open. I know that there was a broken link with the newsletter, RE newsletter before this last one. All the links apparently in that newsletter were broken, and I do not know why. They were working the week before and the week after. They're fixed now, so you can use that link, or we also have a QR code that takes you right to the registration, and this will be hanging right outside at the office, so if you don't want to bother checking a newsletter and you have a fancy smartphone that I think most of us have now, you can just scan and register right on your phone. Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Lindsay Stroh. Just a quick reminder that we'll be having a yard sale here in November on the 17th and 18th. So it's time for you to start looking through stuff and thinking of nice, clean, reusable stuff that could be recycled to benefit us and benefit the community. So thanks.
Hi, Lori Striel Hospitality. So you all know today is potluck day. Everybody's welcome. If you're a visitor, first time, please come and stay. I can tell you, there's a ton of food back there. If you are a member and you didn't notice last week, come. Like I said, we'd like to see all of you at the potluck. Everybody's welcome. Please come. I will be giving detailed instructions at the end of service. The other thing is, I'm looking for orphan silverware. That odd fork, knife, spoon that floats around, was left over from 3 sets ago and doesn't match anything, and you really don't want it anymore. We could use some more silverware in the kitchen. So if you don't run across any of these orphans, we'll be happy to adopt them.
Good morning, Laura Owens with Social Action Committee. The next Share the Plate that we're doing is Floridians Protecting Freedom, which is it's an organization that's putting the abortion petition on the ballot. What's important that you understand is that it's not a petition to say vote for abortion. It's giving you the option, but it gets abortion on the ballot, so then you can make a choice.
It's a referendum and not something that our representatives do to us.
That's exactly right. Oh, thank you for mentioning that, yes. And the other thing is I want to thank everybody for the men's shoes that we're donating to the Christian Resource Center. I had no idea that people had this many men's shoes. Joey is kind enough to take some for me, and then the following week I'm going to take some. I might have 500. I don't know, but I got a lot. I mean, maybe it's an overestimate, but I had people, my neighbors, bringing them. So if we have so many, I'm going to call Christian Resource Center that they don't want that many. I'm going to donate the rest to Hope Helps, just so you all know where your shoes are going. And then the last thing is, Knight's Pantry. We're still collecting, so if you could continue your donations, we would appreciate that because the students' needs are all year long. So thank you.
Good morning, Kelly Buchanan on behalf of the Marketing Committee. Just want to let you know that we have a sign-up sheet that'll be on the back table for the Orlando Pride Parade. If you're not aware, we are partnering with our sister church, 1U downtown, and we're looking for about 25 volunteers. You can help in many ways. You can actually work in our booth as an attendee and represent us in our booth. You can actually march with us, and/or you can help decorate the float. So there's many things that you can do. It's on our Facebook page. We also have a sign-up sheet here, so it's in the back. If you're on our Facebook page, please share this information. Again, it's information worth spreading and sharing. The second announcement I want to make, and Martha, I don't know if is the event that we're going to have at the end of this month. We really haven't advertised it yet, but we have a gentleman by the name of David Novak that will be attending. David Novak is I guess, very well-known storyteller. And so this will be a weekend retreat for us. Again, we are partnering with 1U. He will be here at the church. This is a free workshop on Saturday morning. I'll give you the dates. It's like Saturday's the 20. Yeah, it's September the 30th on a Saturday morning here. I think what's really important, it's not necessarily, the workshop's not necessarily to help you tell a story, but it's how to tell your story. And the methodology of how to go back into your memory, recall that, write it down, and to be able to tell a story. The story could be how you found UUA, right? It could be how I met my wife. But again, it's a true technique, and we hope that everybody, or most of you, will attend Saturday morning with us. There'll be a presentation Sunday at one church downtown, First Church, and then they will have a workshop for the religious education team, professional development. So that's going to be a separate workshop. So anyhow, lots going on here. What you see here in our service is just a little bit of what we do. We have lots of committees that are doing lots of great work. So please reach out if you just need more information about all of the great things we do. Thank you.
Good morning, Margie from Membership. For friends and visitors, if you have signed in the past, that's great. You should be getting notable news. And if you haven't yet, there are some cards just to the right of the door. If you would like to get our weekly newsletter, please sign that up and toss it into the little box behind the cards. And also that will give us information to send you updates and invitations for visitors. And also, visitors and friends, please feel free to join in anything UF has to offer. Men's group, women's group, Dungeons and Dragons. We're going to be marching in the Pride Parade on what day? Join us on that. Come help out in the kitchen. We'd love to see you. That's the way you really get to know folks better here. What are some other ways to join? Yes, that too. Greet at the door. Spirit seekers. Oh, musicians. We're always looking for good musicians. And the meditation group. be welcome to join us. We love to see your faces. Yes, next week. All right. Welcome to Triple U, and we hope to see more of you.
Hi, Chloe Hatfield on behalf of Women's Group. We had a great meetup on Friday with Film Club. It was really wonderful being able to see Lady Bird. It's a very powerful movie. Our next meeting is going to be October 6th at 6:30 here at the Sanctuary. What we're going to be doing is to be announced. We have some ideas, but it's up in the air at this point. But we have a good idea of what we're going to be doing, but we'll announce that next week.
Hi, Martha Kirby. I will say the only time I've ever enjoyed yard work is when I've done it here with other people at workday. Otherwise, I have a yard guy, I don't even look at my yard. So it can be fun, especially if there's pie with ice cream. So I decided this was better to do now than as a joy or concern. But officially, Beth's mobile home that she has lived in for years has officially been sold. The money's in the bank. So we're very close to closing the estate and having something to donate to the church. I'll have the math done in a few weeks. Well, thank you. But I wanted to thank everyone else that helped with that. Marilyn and Joey and Lori and Lindsay and Leanne. That's a lot of L's. And I'm sure there were other people, Chad with his yard signs, who are in Lindsay's car. Y'all meet afterwards and get those back. John and Melanie, I'm looking around, Kelly. Everybody was very helpful when we did the yard sale, helping cleaning up, taking, just thank you all for that. And I'm glad that there's finally the light at the end of the tunnel is coming to fruition. So, yay.
Thank you, Beth. Yes, thank you, Beth. Thank you, everybody. We've got a lot going on here. So for opening words today, I actually can't take credit for anything that's in the service leader today, because it's actually Michael Richards was supposed to be our service leader. He's not completely lost his voice, but he asked me to fill in. So all the lovely words that I'm speaking today, he provided. So thank you, Michael, because I really had no time to prepare.
Thank you.
So our opening words this morning are from a poem entitled Water, written by Melissa Jeter. Water is soft, and yet it is persistent. Water flows and takes the shape of the boundaries it is given. Yet over time, water, in her persistence, she can carve through mountains. When you try to grab water, you just get wet, but you can stop grabbing at her, she will hold you up, and you can float and even swim. Water under pressure cleans dirt off houses and can cut diamonds. Water raging can overflow the bounds put upon her. She can drown whole towns, flood freeways. She can put out fire and save lives. So contradictory, both soft and hard, never dominant or submissive, water sustains, gives, and yields to life. Our opening music this morning is There's a River Flowing in My Soul, and it's going to be led by Janet Levins and Alicia Tran. It's number 1007.
Thank you. Just a few words first. So this hymn has a sound of a traditional African American spiritual, and yet it was composed not so long ago by Rose Sanders. And Rose Sanders now goes by the name of Faya Ora Rose Touré, having decided to abandon her slave name. She is a Harvard-educated civil rights activist and attorney. She was also notably the first African-American female judge in Alabama. And in her spare time, she is apparently a composer. Pretty amazing. So please rise.
Flowing in my
Our chalice lighter today is Chase. Chase uses the pronouns he, him. He's 13 years old, and he's excited about the new school year. Please join me in the words on the screen. In the light of truth and the warmth of love, we gather to seek, to sustain, and to share. And each week, we like to remind ourselves why we're here. So please repeat with me our affirmation. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its gift. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth in love, and to help one another. I wish to offer everybody a warm welcome today who are gathered here, whether you're in person or online. Our services vary every week. So we have speakers from our universities, from our nonprofits. We have a minister who's here twice a month, Reverend Tracie. We have other spiritual leaders. And then we have sessions that are led by our congregants. So please, if you're visiting for the first time or visited a few times, come back several times, especially if you come on potluck, see what we're all about, come to our meetings, come to our clubs, and see all that we have to do. We're a great place. Just take a moment now, if you would, and just greet your neighbor. All right. Now is a time in our service where we get a chance to share some joys and concerns. These are events that have touched our lives in the last week or so. So please take an opportunity to come to the microphone to share your joy or concern. And if you need me to bring the microphone to you at your chair, just raise your hand.
Okay.
You're excited, Chase.
I went to the new school year.
Hello, David McElroy. I was surprised when I heard the name David Novak. In 1996, I was hired as the managing instructor for show business at the new Disney Institute, but now it's the old Disney Institute. And David Novak was a storyteller. So it's interesting to be able to see him again. My one joy is that Marilyn is spending 12 hours today getting ready to open her new show, The Rise of the Guacamole Queens, or something like that. It's at the Ice House Theater, and if you can come, it opens next Friday, and it runs through October 8th.
Sounds awesome. Hey, everybody. So I have a joy, a question, and a compliment. So my question is, somebody a few weeks ago shared that they had gotten an A on an instructional design paper in a class that's very rarely gives out A's. I, in my former life, was an instructional designer, and I have some expensive and excellent books, and I can't for the life of me remember who that was. So if anybody knows who that was, please come and tell me, or if it was you, come and tell me, and I'll give you about $250 worth of books. Yeah. Good point. Yeah. Okay, my compliment is that is a gorgeous display. Really, really. We certainly I find it easy to take this stuff for granted. So Paula, that's just awesome. Thanks for substituting. And also remember that somebody put together, I guess it was Michael, how wonderful the current services, the words that are shared, the psalm, everything speaks to water. And that was really nicely put together. Okay, lastly, my joy. Sorry. My parents today are getting baptized in their new church. This is a huge moment. Father raised Catholic. I imagine my Italian grandparents are rolling over in their grave. But anyway, the change, especially in my father, as he is experiencing the joys of his new church, has been nothing short of miraculous, and I'm delighted for them.
Hi, Joey Cole. I usually get up here and lament that my husband is not doing well, and he unfortunately is still not doing well, but God must be looking down on us or something. And yeah, I do believe in God, because I got my physical yesterday, and I'm in great health. Thank you.
Yes, good morning, Kelly Buchanan. I do have a concern, and that is Miak Buchanan, my husband, was rushed to the hospital this past Tuesday. Shortness of breath, getting, lots of details, but the short of it is, when we got him to the hospital, they diagnosed him with blood clots in both lungs, right and left, and also blood clots in his right leg from his calf all the way up to the top of his knee. Quickly, they were able to, while I was in the emergency room, to do a thrombectomy, was to go up through his groin, up to the right chamber of his heart. In the right lung, there was 3 clots that were was stopping his heart on the right side. So they were able to aspirate those 3 clots in his right lung, which put him in a stable condition, able to breathe. He still has clots in his left lung and his leg. He's been released, and we're still concerned. There could be a heart issue, there could be a lung issue, there could be other things. So just keep him in your thoughts and your prayers. He would appreciate any text messages or any cards you could send his way. Thank you.
Good morning, Michael Richards. Many of you know that I spent a week in the hospital, but I am on the road to recovery right now. My voice, every time I take antibiotics, my voice tends to go. So Anne very graciously offered to substitute for me this morning. Thank you. I'm doing much better, still a little short of breath, but thanks to all of you who have been in touch with me this last week or so. You don't know how much it means to have contact from my church family. Thank you. I have a concern. The earthquake in Morocco. I have 3 dear friends who live in Marrakesh. I have heard through Facebook that they are both, the husband and wife are doing really well. Their daughter, who I know very well, is an internationally known photographer, and she happened to be in Marrakesh visiting her parents at the time. They are all well, although the photographs that they have sent show an extensive amount of damage to the old city of Marrakesh. So please pray and keep in your minds and thoughts. Over 2,000 plus now have died from this earthquake, and just keep them in your thoughts. Thank you.
Hi, Chloe Hatfield. Yesterday was my first day of training with a petrified forest for this scare season, so that officially marks the 2 busiest months for me, but I'm ready for it. And for a couple of months now, I've been feeling kind of like out of order, where I just haven't really been feeling myself, but being able to see all of these people that I haven't seen in a while, and being able to reconnect with friends that I haven't seen, some I haven't seen in years, it was just really, really nice and really refreshing, and it brought a lot of joy to my heart.
Thank you.
I'm sharing a message from our online community this morning from Happy. Thank you to the whole Triple U community. So many people have reached out and shared condolences and kind wishes. I'm grateful to the community and for the community and for the generous support. My mother's memorial will be held in December on James Island, South Carolina, where she grew up. It's a coastal island near Charleston. So thank you, everyone that sent good wishes to Happy.
Morning. My joy is that I have found a theater community that I'm very comfortable with here. It's actually across the street from my house, which helps a lot. You know, and so anyway, I am doing a performance there this afternoon it's sort of a cabaret kind of thing, and all the artists and singers represented were born in the month of September. And then oddly, next Sunday, we're doing people born in October because the October calendar is so full of theater events that there's no time for the cabaret in October. So we're having it in September, and so I'll be singing at that too. And you're invited. If you'd like to come, just look up Breakthrough Theater online, and tickets are available. And it's a very small, intimate theater. I can guarantee I will look you in the eye. Whether I want to or not. So anyway, I'd like you to come. But thank you very much for sharing that joy.
Hi, everyone. I'm Reverend Tracie. I have one concern and then a joy and a kind of concern. As I mentioned a few weeks ago, my mother-in-law had been in the hospital because she had collapsed and we weren't sure what was going on. And it ended up being a good thing, I guess, because they discovered that there is a mass in her lung. She's 90. They're not going to do anything. It's 8 millimeters. It's the first time they've seen it. We're hoping that maybe it has just sat there at 8 millimeters for a while. So good thoughts of it either shrinking or just staying put and not causing any problems. So we're processing all of that, and then we'll be working on making decisions on what all we do or don't do. She has a doctor's appointment this week, so they'll discuss all that. My joy is I just signed my 3rd-year contract with you all, so you're stuck with me for another year. And to the other side of that, for those of you who were here when I was originally hired, I told you all it would be about 3 years because I'm finishing my doctorate and all that. So this is my final year. This year will be a year of transition. We will work through it. We will process it. You're going to have feelings, and those feelings are okay. Let's talk about them, okay? But meanwhile, I'm here. You're not getting rid of me that easy. Stuck with me for another year, and hopefully we'll get to celebrate my doctorate and my graduation with me. So thank you all for the wonderful, wonderful shared ministry that we have had, and I look forward to this final year. Thank you.
A joy. Last night, I went to First Unitarian in Orlando, and Martha and Ann were there, and we heard Holly Near. Yes, you were there too. We were so enjoying Holly Near. We are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing for our lives. And her fascinating life, it was so exciting. And for fun, we didn't know this was going to happen. Martha and Ann and I were all wearing polka dots. There's a picture of the three of us. It's quite amazing. But it was a very inspirational evening and made me very happy.
I just wanted to add, when you were talking about, unplanned things that you find when you're in the hospital, Holly shared with us an extraordinary story where she had decided to spend the winter, she wanted to experience all 4 seasons because she lives in California and they don't really have the seasons. So she went to Massachusetts for a year, and summer was good, fall was good, and then in the winter she fell, and she was, on the ground. I think she broke an arm, and she was she was injured. So she went back to California, and while she was hanging out, recovering from all that, she decided to get a colonoscopy. Just as you do, and found out she had cancer. So and also during the treatment of the cancer had a stroke. So it's absolutely amazing that she was even able to get up and perform last night. It was incredible. that she's doing as well as she has given all the circumstances. So maybe sometimes going to those unplanned doctor's appointments, you do find out something that, that you would have found out maybe too late. So let's just take a moment to sort of meditate and think about some of the joys and the concerns that may not have been shared today. Amen. And let's hope that we can lessen the pain for those who've had concerns, and we can lift up those who've had joys. So next in our service, normally would be our time for all ages, but we are going to have an intergenerational service today. So that will come in a little bit when we do the water service. So right now we're doing our interlude and offering. Remember that your contributions help maintain this building, help pay our staff, as well as we contribute to various nonprofits. And as Laura had mentioned, Floridians Protecting Freedom is our plate offering recipient for this next quarter. So please give generously as you listen to our choir. Martha.
I don't know. I can't figure it out.
Jace, come this way.
Oh. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I got peace like a river in my soul. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I got peace like a river in my soul. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean in my soul. In my soul. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean in my soul. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I got peace like a river in my soul. I got peace like a river. I got peace like a river. I got peace like a river in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy
will not be singing our children out today because they're going to be with us in our water ceremony. So I would like to invite Reverend Tracie to come up and lead us in that ceremony.
Well, welcome everyone. So water ceremony, if you have not been for one-to-one, is not just something that we do. This morning, all throughout our country, there are UU churches gathering for this specific service. It's an in-gathering, usually for congregations, especially up north, where they disappear for the summer and then come back. It's that first gathering in service. And so they gather the waters together. And the important thing to remember about this is one of those things that connects us. In fact, we start with our water communion water from every year we have done water communion, right? So we have somebody who boils it to sanitize it, and we'll boil it again, because, y'all bring some water from some sketchy-looking places. And we love that, but we can't use that water unless we boil it and sanitize it. And in a lot of congregations, and we will also experience this soon, they use that same water from water communion to bless babies that come into our congregation. Another reason to sanitize it. And they'll use it for other things too, to mark traditions and passages. And spoiler alert, we will be blessing a baby next month. More on that later. I'm so excited. But this is something that connects us, not just to our past and our future, but also to those other UU congregations everywhere. And so it's lovely if you get a chance to go on Facebook and find other congregations, look for their water ceremony pictures, because I took one, I'll be posting it, and I'll send it to Kelly for our marketing, because it's just such a beautiful thing that connects us throughout the years. And so we start this water ceremony with our water. I'm going to pour that into our bowl, and then we're going to invite our children to start our water ceremony. So kids, if you have water, bring it. If you do not, and this is for everybody, we have proxy water, okay? And proxy water is, because the important thing is the intention, right? And so you can just say when you'll come up, you're going to use the microphone. James will help our kids with the microphone to say what the water represents to you. This could be a place, it could be a memory, it could be a feeling, the community here, anything what that water represents that you're going to add to our communal water. So I'm going to begin, and we'll have our kids start lining up, and I'm going to pour this water in. All right, kids, come on up. Even if you did not bring water, it is okay. You are welcome to join this service, and you don't have to share if you don't want to. And real quick for our online friends, especially those of you on Zoom, if you can message, Martha will take care of the messages and we will pour water for you, so you will also be included.
You don't have to talk. It's okay.
You don't have to talk if you don't want to. So you can just pour your water into our shared bowl and then give me the cup.
Thank you.
All right, and you can go back to your seat. All right, we're going to start. We're going to try to do this orderly. Orderly. Okay, so we're going to start with our first rows. And if you want to start lining up just like we do for committee moments and joys and concerns, we're going to line up along the wall and come through. You can grab your proxy water and speak into the microphone and pour. So our first row on both sides, go ahead and go back, and then we'll just start funneling from there. So after you see the row ahead of you line up, you can get in line. We'll try to do this as smooth as possible because there's potluck waiting for us.
I have the pleasure this morning of our online group. So first, I have virtual water from Cranes Roost Lake in Altamont Springs, which is the site of Cafe Murano, where the Bernard Foodum Roundtable Discussion Group founded by the late Bernard Fudum from Triple U, meets on Fridays for fellowship and to virtually solve all of the world's problems. This is from Steve Hall, so we look forward to you sharing those answers soon.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. This water is from Brevard, North Carolina, where Marilyn and I spent 10 days, and also from our beach house in Ormond Beach.
This time I'm representing Jess Hunt, who has water from North Carolina, Fines Creek, Raleigh, and Durham, and from Pittsburgh. So she's had a lot of wonderful travels, and this water represents gathering in community with my trans colleagues working in faith and social change together. And my water, oh no, that's a different one, another one from Jess. Yes, I got it all. So thank you, Jess.
Every morning when I look out from the sunroom in the back of our house across our pool, I see the lily pond above which is posted a seating Buddha. So this, I get to see this every morning. It's a wonderful thing. This is from that pond. And it represents a lot of the peace that I feel in our home.
From another new member, Anita. This represents the water, the filtered water from her refrigerator, which tastes great and keeps her hydrated.
Well, this water represents the pond that I see from my patio and enjoy every day for 30 years. And now I'm moving, and I'll always remember that pond and all the good times I had on the patio, smoking a cigar, having a little scotch. It's my meditation. So I'll miss you, pond.
From Happy John and Caroline. We share water, Fiordland National Park of New Zealand. It includes from the Tasman Sea, the roughest, most volatile sea on Earth. New Zealand is a land of awe-inspiring panoramic scenes. Caroline studied at Otago University for 6 months, and they visited her there for 2 incredible weeks.
This water is from my family home, from filtered water from my family home, which I am in the process of selling right now, so it's very bittersweet.
Didn't know we were having a water ceremony, so I have to wing it. I think for me, this water represents going with the flow, the Tao. When we read, Gina, what was the book that we read? Say the name of the... Thank you. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. Anyway, not swimming upstream, going with the flow, not pushing against. That's what water represents to me, going with the flow.
For us, this water represents a memory of our recent trip to the Ecuadorian Amazon. The trip was about birds, but it's also very much about water. The water in the Napa River and the tributaries, which we canoed around for days, and the copious rains that fell upon us, and even the many muddy trails we were on. So, this water is from our trip to Banff in the Canadian Rockies, which was a bucket list of mine for the last 10 years.
This water represents the fun I have kayaking in Florida rivers and lakes, Georgia, once in California in the ocean. That was a mistake.
I realize it's almost 40 years ago. This December, I made my first trip to the West Coast, and I managed to see the Pacific for the first time. I brought a sample of it back, but it's evaporated long since, so I'm going to use this instead.
Your cup. James wants your cup. This water virtually represents a virtual place. Some of you may not know that Mike and I met in a virtual world online, and specifically, it's a place called UUtopia. You hear the UU in there? It is the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Second Life. And that's where we met, and our first swim together, as our avatars, was taken in the lagoon in the center of UUtopia, Alcott. And so this water virtually represents the virtual water in the virtual world where we met for real.
So this water that we brought represents several trips that we've taken. First, Carl and I and two of the girls were in Scandinavia, so we got to see a lot of fjords up in Norway and all the rivers and the lakes. And then we want to tell about our trip to Georgia. We also went as a family to Georgia for a few days in August. And then Carl and I each have taken little jaunts by ourselves. So I was in New Hampshire a couple weeks ago and swam in a lake with no gators in it, which is something I miss so much being in Florida. And Carl right now is in Michigan fishing on a river, but I forgot the name. So that's what, I don't remember what it's called. The Sable River, I think, in Michigan.
Hello, my name is Hayden. This is my second time here. I haven't been to a church in quotes, in a couple years since I moved here 3 years ago. So this water represents for me trying to like reconnect with like faith in the community here. So.
This is for me this time. It represents the water that's sitting on my counter in a Western Colorado University bottle from my first trip to Colorado, which was almost 12 years ago. And when I stayed in the same house, the same area, I got water from the snow because it was in November for my daughter's 18th birthday. We had a great trip. As you know, my second trip didn't turn out so well. But that represents me not going back to Colorado for a long, long time. I think I'll stick to sea level.
There is a sea in my soul, and that sea is the Aegean Sea. The Aegean Sea is between Turkey and Greece, and I grew up on the side of Turkey, and it's where I learned how to swim. It's where I walked every day, or I went on the bicycle along the Gulf or the old Smyrna, Izmir. And also my ancestor lived on an island that's called Chios, that's very close to Çeşme, Turkey, and it's where they spent 100 years coming from the port of Genoa in Italy. So that's very important to me, that sea. Okay.
My son Wade, who has lived abroad most of his adult life, is once again moving. It's a short move, short-term move to from Australia to Thailand, and so we're always watchful and waiting to see what the next move will be.
Hi, Leanne here. So this is banal and yet to me very special. It's right from my kitchen tap, but it comes from the Florida aquifer because my house is on a well system. And being a native Floridian, I'm intensely aware of our water quality and very, very grateful for it.
Last weekend, I was in Detroit visiting my grandkids, and this water represents Lake St. Clair, which is just a few blocks from their home.
So this water comes from my mother's house. My mother and father moved into that house in the summer of '69. My sister was less than a year old, and I don't know the exact date, so my brother was like 11 or 12 because his birthday was in August. He was the only one that was actually born in that house. My mother's still there, so this is kind of the house that built me. So these are my roots. And if I didn't say she's in Miami, so you're kind of talking about skanky parts of it.
Hi, I'm Rachel, and my water represents the Potomac River, where I spent most of my life, from Harper's Ferry, where we would whitewater raft, to walking along the C&O Canal, to going to the Kennedy Center, and the Potomac River goes right by it. So it has always been part of my life.
Sarah stole my water. We were also in the Rockies, but we also went to Vancouver Island, so I'll take water from Vancouver Island. All right.
So my wife had some pretty significant orthopedic surgery, and she's been plumbed up to an ice machine, which I have refilled, got to be 100 times. So this water originates in my refrigerator and racetrack and Publix and anywhere I could get ice. But it represents the sort of magical healing and feeling good power of cold, cool water.
Hi, this water represents, first, the fact that I was able to visit Cedar Key in the spring before the destruction this year, and then a European trip where I was at the sea at San Sebastian, Spain, and then on the Danube River.
Hi. So my parents, they live in Ohio. They have a restaurant there, and that restaurant has been there for 38 years now, which is pretty amazing. They never advertised. It's always been word of mouth. And they're about to retire, so they worked 7 days a week for at least 20 of those years. So they're going to retire, and they're going to move down here to Florida. So this water represents transitions and life changes, and the beauty and the scariness of all of that.
First of all, I'd like to clear something up. When I did Joys and Concerns, I didn't mean to brag. What I meant was how grateful I am to be healthy so I can take care of my husband. Okay, the first of these waters represents my trip in May to San Diego to see my son. And the water's around Fiesta Island where we walked the dogs. The next one is for all of the oceans that he sailed upon in the almost 30 years he was in the Navy. And he just retired last January. And the last one is for the waters of Iceland because my younger son and his wife are going to Iceland for their anniversary in October. Because they are empty nesters. Both my granddaughters are in college.
So this water represents a lake that's behind my house. My backyard is on a slope, and so there's more than one occasion when I cut the grass that I fall into the lake, into the water. So this has happened several times this summer. And second is the streams that I walked through on the Appalachian Trail last month. Thank you.
This water represents what we've done a lot of domestic travel this year. Chicago was Lake Michigan, Boston, Charles River, New York, the Hudson. But what it really should represent is the many floods that we've had from our rental properties this year that have cost us far too much money.
This water represents standing in a river when I was up at Susie on a trip and learning how to fly fish for the first time. It was a lot of fun. Very cold water, about 55 degrees, but very invigorating, and it was just great standing out in nature like that. So, really fun time.
So this is one of our online members from Marissa Kahn. She says, some virtual water for me from the Canaveral National Seashore, which I so enjoyed over the summer, and water also that never stands still and representing constant transformation.
I used a big serving bowl from my kitchen and collected rainwater in my backyard to bring here. And mostly what I think about when I think about water is, you know, we here in Florida, we've had about the right amount of water. It gets a little goofy sometimes, but we've had about the right amount. But so many people around the world have had either way too much or not nearly enough. And I'm very grateful for what we have.
This water represents the dream trip that I got to take this past spring when my very good friend Lori and I went to Prague and then down the Danube River to Budapest. And it was on my bucket list, and I'm so glad I got to do it. That was wonderful. And also from the pond I get to look at from my porch where I see the beautiful birds and ducks and just my water from my Florida home.
This water represents the Florida waters that have been giving me life for 27 years.
Over the last couple of weeks, my mind has been going back to the villa I owned in the island of Malta, the smaller island of Gozo, and the crystal clear water that was so warm to swim in. So here's to the Mediterranean.
This water represents transition. We had 13 years in Oviedo on a little lake, and I swear I've taken 150 pictures of every time of day, and it's now my screensaver on Zoom. So when you see me on Zoom, it's the yard that I miss so much. But we moved to Lake Baldwin, Westminster, so I now have Lake Baldwin. Need the water. Thank you.
Patrick and Colton and I went to Memphis this summer and spent some time with my very close friend Marlene and her son Jim. And this is water that Pat very bravely went down to the Mississippi River and got.
We're about to throw the water quality out of whack here, so you'll need to triple boil this, okay?
This water is from the Great Smokies where we had our first trip together.
This water represents my feeling of community and love and always feeling safe while I'm here.
I wasn't prepared. Okay. I was not prepared for this, so I'll just say the water from all the places that I didn't get to go because of COVID that hopefully I will get to go to now that COVID has gotten where I can travel again.
Thank you. And my water is from all of my travels, and I have a mic, thank you though. From all of my travels and always returning home, and returning home to here. And so I just want to add that to it. And then this empty cup, it's one of the traditions of water ceremony, is to represent those who do not have access to clean water, to safe water, and have to make their way without having good water. Thank you all. And we're going to transition for a minute. Thank you guys. You can head out. And one of the things about water, we've added all our water to it. You guys can't go back and get your water out of there because it's all intermixed. You can get water, and it might have the molecules of your water, but it's also going to have the molecules of Roy's water and Paula's water and Janet's water. It's going to have all that in there. And that's one of the things on why water ceremony and water communion is so important to Unitarian Universalists. It reminds us that we're in this together and that we are gathered together. And one of the things that we're going to do today, there it is, so we're going to take a little bit of this water, and it hasn't been boiled, so don't use it for anything. And we're going to give this to our dear, dear admin who is leaving us, Tracie Hall, so that she can remember that she too is connected to this community. And you're going to need to come up here. I'm going to make you cry. Come on. Don't make me come down and get you.
I think this was part of my contract.
Yeah, your contract's done. So, I'm going to give you this water to remember us by, and to remember that you too have touched this water throughout your time with us. And we also have a certificate of recognition for all your years. And James pointed out to me this morning that it's cut off at the bottom, and I said, well, that's good, because our inside joke is graphic design is my passion, and there you go. I have often had to go, Tracie, I tried. Here's my picture. I tried. Can you please make this pretty? Half my emails to her have often been, can you please make this pretty? Because I don't do this part. So I just want to thank you. We want to thank you. Anne, are you going to come on up? We've got some things for you. Yes. So you can stay right here, my dear. And let us share our love and our respect and blessings on Tracie for her next journey.
I'm not going to put the cards in their envelopes yet because I don't think everybody had a chance to sign. So if you haven't signed a card for Tracie, please do so before she leaves today. We also have some gift certificates to Hand in Stone, so you can get yourself a nice massage, as we all need. And we have a lovely cake. So when you're joining us for potluck, please join us in the cake and thanking Tracie for all of her time. Yes, you must speak from there.
Speak from here.
I would love to tell you I'm a person of few words and a person that hates the spotlight, but that's not the truth. I've now hijacked your whole service. No, I'm kidding. That's just a fault of mine when put in a situation where I'm emotional. I make a joke, you know. It's a good Southern way. So, but in all honesty, from my heart, thank you for everything, you know, over these last 5 years. We've seen so much change. And, you know, I feel like I've been able to witness so much growth, seeing the little kids become the bigger kids in charge now is absolutely a thrill, and that's one message I would love, at least the youth, to know what a brilliant group you are and how poised for success you are in many ways because of this foundation that's being provided to you. So I don't feel like I have advice to give. I'm not that, I'm still on my path, but just keep being true to who you are. And just know that you probably touch a lot more people than you realize. And know, and those are committee leaders, and know that all the heartache and all the insanity sometimes that goes with leadership, there is a positive side. And sometimes it's like parenthood. You don't always get the thank you till later in life. And but know that you've all made a difference. So thank you. Thank
you. Okay. And then Ann, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
All right, so it's time to extinguish our chalice. So please stay with me, the words on the screen, as we extinguish the flame.
Extinguish the flame, now light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we bear in our hearts until we are together again.
And our closing music today is Shenandoah, a traditional American folk song, and it will be performed by Janet. I don't know if you sing it.
Yes. Yes. This is a congregational sing, and you probably, most of you have, when you hear it, it'll be very familiar, I'm sure. And it is a traditional American folk song, but more specifically a sea shanty. And what you may not know is that although there is a river called the Shenandoah River, this is not what the song is about. Here, Shenandoah refers to the Oneida Indian chief, with whose daughter the singer, traditionally an American or Canadian fur trapper, is in love, but unfortunately separated. But there is still river thematics in here, and of course it's a sea chanty that became popular in Mississippi early 19th century, and then became, from there, traveled around the world. So I invite you all, this is not a solo, and I invite you all to sing along, the words will be up there. Oh, and also this needs a wonderful bass voice, and originally Micah Richards was going to do this, so we will do our best. Okay.
Oh, Shenandoah, I long to hear you. Away, you rolling river. Oh, Shenandoah, I long to hear you. Away, I'm bound to go, cross a wide Missouri. Oh, Shenandoah, I love your daughter. Away, you rolling river. Oh, Shenandoah, I love your daughter. Away, I'm bound to go, cross a wide Missouri. 'Tis 7 long years since last I see thee. Away, you rolling river. 'Tis 7 long years since last I see thee. Away, I'm bound to go, cross a wide Missouri.
So just after my closing words, we are going to have a post loop, and we'll also have some instructions about potluck, so just stay in your seats for a minute. My closing words are by Mel Hoover and Rose Eddington. Water unites us. All water is one water, shape-shifting as it goes on in its unending cycle. The stream we gather by unites with all the waters of the world, for all of life depends on water. That's why this common everyday element on which our lives depend is sacred. In our thankfulness for water, let us remember to honor, cherish, and care for it, for our own lives, for all life touched by water, and for those who come after us. That's the end of our service. We'll have our, should we have our postlude and then we'll have our instructions on potluck so we can enjoy that? Thank you.